Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got two replays in the American Tier 6 Premium Medium Tank, the Thunderbolt. Now the Thunderbolt is the Easy 8 Sherman, but it's got a buttload more armour on the front of it, bolted, or should I say welded on, and it's actually historically the tank that Creighton Abrams drove for you. There you go, the American tanker. So he drove the Thunderbolt and that's why it's called the Thunderbolt. It's called the Thunderbolt VII. And it's an Easy 8, like I say, with extra armour slapped on the front of it. A little bit of spaced armour on the turret front as well, which just makes it generally an Easy 8 that's a bit more well-armoured, that actually can ricochet shots here and there. You do have to watch out for the machine gun port, and if you see an Easy 8, just shoot for the machine gun port on the front, because that is the true weak spot of the tank. It's only like 63mm thick. But the upper plate is like 123mm of armour, which actually does make quite a lot of difference when considering that the Fury, for example, is only 63mm of upper plate armour. So it can, especially when you're angling against tier 6s and some tier 7s, ricochet a fair few shells that might surprise people when they see this tank, because a lot of people might see the Thunderbolt and just think it's another bog standard tier 6 Sherman tank and think it's an easy pen. And then they'll stop ricocheting and go, what? And I mean, you think about a fair few tier 5s, like the new Hydrostat that most people have got, where it's got about 110 pen, or between that 110 to 120 pen. They're less than a 50-50 chance to go through the front of you, and especially if you angle, it makes it even better for you, right? So it's just something to bear in mind, that it can bounce a little bit more, which is decent. It's more like a Sherman Jumbo, the M4A2E2 for that, so you can just bear that in mind. So naturally, as a Sherman, it does have 128 penetration on its standard AP rounds. It has 177 on its premium AP. So if you're on Thunderbolt shooting at another Thunderbolt, again, you're a little bit more than a 50-50 chance to go through the front of yourself. Whereas if you fire the premium with 177 pen, you're more likely to go through the Thunderbolt with the premium rounds. You got a 48km/h top speed, which you do hit because you are just that little bit... Sorry, a 42km/h top speed. I was looking at the Fury for a second then. You've got a 42km/h top speed, as you can see, which is 6 kilometers slower than the Fury, which is also an Easy 8. And that's because of the extra armour bolted onto it. Naturally, it makes it heavier, so just that little bit slower. But you do have that great rate of fire that a Sherman tank has. And, like I say, the penetration isn't that bad either. And with good gun depression and pretty good view range you can get it up to, you can have a pretty good time in the Thunderbolt. You can't go wrong. I think the Thunderbolt's pretty damn decent. My only problem with the Thunderbolt is it's got this 76mm gun. And if I'm totally honest, I'm not a fan of the 76mm M1A2 gun that is on this tank and the Sherman Jumbo and all the other Easy 8s, because I prefer the Derp gun naturally on the Easy 8 and the Sherman Jumbo. It's not me if it wasn't a Derp gun, right? Derp is love, Derp is life. But I was never a fan of this fast rate of fire gun, because it can be pretty derpy at times, and the shell velocity is a little bit slow at 792 meters a second on the AP, but decent at 990 on the premium APCR though. And there's little things about the gun that does irk me slightly, which makes me just prefer playing as the Derp gun, right? But it's down to personal preference. I still think this tank is absolutely a solid tier 6 premium medium tank. And actually, I think a lot of people earned it a little while ago. Was it in one of the season passes, or it was a random earn up as well? Possibly. Could have been. I know a lot of people did earn it at some stage. But yeah, it's a decent medium tank. So in terms of a crew, on the Thunderbolt, I run Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Camouflage Expertise, Muffled Shot, Steady Aim, Snapshot, Run and Gun. Now, instead of Muffled Shot, you could run Silent Driving if you wanted, to make it so that your camo's better while you're on the move. It's up to you. You are a medium tank, so I do want to make the camo just that little bit better with the Camouflage Expertise and make it a little bit better after firing with the Muffled Shot. But realistically, this tank doesn't have all that great a camo rating unless you run the camo net, which you can get it down to a decent level with that. I believe you can get it down to, I think it's 315 meters of steel concealment or something like that with the camo net if you wanted to. But then you make the gun far derpier, which is something you don't want to do for sure. In terms of equipment, I do run the rammer, vert stabs, and the optics. Vert stabs, like I say, to make this gun as good as it humanly can be, because it can be derpy as, and I just want to make it better with the Spurgeons not being very good. Rammer to make my reload as good as humanly possible, and optics to be able to spot for myself. You might feel that the reload on this tank is really good, so you could drop the rammer if you wanted to, and have the camo net for the camo rating, but quite frankly, you want to make the DPM make the gun and the DPM as good as humanly possible on this Thunderbolt. So in this first replay, we've managed to get 2.5k damage so far with 418 assistance. We got fairly lucky that that SU-152 didn't derp us and end our game very quickly. Then we managed to finish off the VK. Now, there's only 3 tanks left. There's the artillery, which clearly, as you've seen, is still in their base. A light tank and a medium tank. I'm assuming it's the light tank that's in the base. He clearly stops capping because he realises everything's chasing towards him. To be fair, I bet he spotted the wheelie boy. So that means we know they're in this direction over here. Now, by the way, if you're wondering why the map looks kind of orangey, it's because this replay was from a wee while ago, and this actually was back from when the map filter, colour filters were still in the game. So as you can tell, because it's a desert map, it looks really orange. Thank God they got rid of those colour filters. God, it looks horrible, right? It's one of those things, I see some of the replays I do have in the vault, and I see some of these colour filters on the maps and go, oh, thank God that this is gone, right? Because it looks crap compared to the normal lighting on the map. And the more natural lighting is probably what I'd call it. I don't know why they ever introduced the colour filters. But anyway, we've managed to catch up to this light tank and this medium tank in front of us. The T-34-85M gets E25'd. I think is the only best way of describing it. And now this setter is driving in a straight line at an E25. Again, I'm not sure that's going to go too well. He manages to get away from the E25, but we do get to shut that setter down. Now, there's only 1 tank left. It is artillery, who is going to be somewhere along the A line. He is going to either be near their base, but we do actually have a heavy tank at their cap. So currently he's not spotted. So my thinking is, well, okay, the little devil in me thinks, and by the way, this is before the artillery changes, naturally, if we've got the colour filters. So it's going to have less hit points. But the devil in me thinks, right, exactly where that man just pinged. What does a piggy do when it's the last one alive? It goes to water. So we're going to go towards the water because that's where we think probably the M44 is. And look at that. He's as far out into the water as he humanly can be. He's loving life out there. And we managed to get to finish it off. And yeah, that M44 couldn't get the chance to drown himself because you can't drown yourself on this map. And finished with the victory. 5 kills, 2.9k damage, 418 assistance, ace tank of the high caliber, the Confederate medal, 1991 base XP, a pretty damn nice game for the M4A3E8 Thunderbolt VII. I'll say a pretty damn fun tank. It's always cool when they release these historical models as well, naturally being the tank of Creighton Abrams, who drove it, you know, during World War II, and that is, it's always cool to have this sort of thing. It's like having the Tiger 217, right, which is actually free in an Xbox Game Pass bundle. I'm not sure how long for in the store, where that was Otto Carrius' tank, right? And then they modelled it after that sort of thing, etc. with the 217. I always think that sort of thing is really cool, and that sort of nod to the historical element of the game is always a pretty cool thing. And I do wish that they would release more tanks like this, as opposed to some of the ones they have released, like the Arachnid. Ugh, fugly. And, yeah, we do enjoy that historical element of the game just a little bit more, right? Because it's always cool to see these tanks. I mean, generally, you will get that in the lower tiers where you get the Boilermaker, this, you know, Firefly VC, the Cromwell Boleyn, where you see all those sort of more historically painted tanks, because a lot of them obviously would be in the World War II section, where Tier 6 and 7 are, because a lot of the World War II tanks are in that area, really, in World War II. But I digress. Anyway, this map on Redshire, this is Redshire. We are in a Tier 7 game, so we're not in the best matchmaking possible. We've managed to get 241 damage so far, and we've got a few spots off. This position here at F4 is always a good location to go to in a medium tank with gun depression on Redshire, because you can get good spots out, you can sort of get hull down, you can get safe, and you can get some damage out as you want. And you can sort of assess what's going off. Because naturally being a heavy tank is a good position to go as E0, but as a medium tank, like I say, you're good to go over here. You can get hull down, get spots out, get shots, and you get some farming shots out at people that do cross along. And people like this T29, when they're really in an awkward spot, you can get some good damage out on them too. And it makes fighting those ridges and attacking the people that are attacking our heavy tank side really awkward for them. And realistically, where that T29 is, though, they shouldn't be there because they're really easy to get spotted. And like I say, if anyone takes these positions, like on this ridge line, they can get absolutely wrecked really easily too, which is, yeah, again, really awkward. So we get a nice tracking shot on the Valiant there, and this is keeping him pinned. We're just going to keep popping the shots out while we can. He's not even looking at us, to be fair, but we are detected, which means something is looking at us, so we don't want to give it an easy shot. But unfortunately, we just keep ricocheting off the Valiant there. 128 pen rearing its ugly head. And actually, it was this Panzer III-4 at the bottom that was looking at us. The Panzer III-4 will actually struggle to pen us a little bit in our hull, with his standard pen of 110. And there we go, the Panzer III-4, we pen him through the lower plate with our standard round, which breaks his engine. And this is a major problem for a lot of the German medium tanks, like the Panzer IV Hydrostat, which you just got, and most of the others, really, is that if you shoot them in the front, their engine just dies. And like that, there against that guy, for every shot we were putting straight through his lower plate, we were re-breaking his engine every single time. So he was pinned just like he would have been if he was tracked. And we managed to get rid of that guy. We're up to 3 kills, and now this T-29, again, who is very stock, by the way, he looks very stock anyway, is in a very awkward position for himself. We managed to only ricochet off the back of him, but so we load the premium rounds because that's the way we're going to pen him. He starts looking at us. We take a big hit there as well, which is really unfortunate, but we managed to shut down that T-29. Then we shut down the Crash Panther, which realistically, I don't think it was a big hit. He just hit us for 135, 150 or something like that, and took a fair chunk of our hit points away. But we managed to get the 2 kills on the 2 tier 7s anyway. Then we shut down the 40 TP, and now we're on 6 kills. We managed to secure the Top Gun, which is always nice. We're up to 2.3k damage, and the whole reason that this video is called Devastating Thunderbolt VII is because I'm a clever wordsmith. I'm clever with wordplay, and you're about to see why it's called the Devastating Thunderbolt VII. So we're going after the last 4 tanks on the enemy team. There is a medium tank, a light tank, a tank destroyer, and the arty. The light tank ends up driving up behind us, the MT-25. We managed to snap the shot straight into his back end. Then we take a hit from behind. It's like, ow, what was that? There's something in that corner, which distracts me. Realistically, I should still be looking at the light tank. It is the Panther M10 in the corner. We snap the shot with premium, with RBRT, and it hits some pens. Actually, was it premium? No, it was standard rounds, which we're going to struggle to pen a Panther M10 with standard rounds. We turn around to try and get a shot at the MT-25, but he ends up getting shut down. We come across this Stir Mill, also the M41 HMC, but I'm not going to worry about him. We get 1 shot into the Stir Mill. We can kill him with the next shot, put us on 7 kills, but we low roll, and he dies. We fire at the M41 HMC. He dies just as the shell hits him. Oh, that could have been our 7th kill to put us onto the Devastator. Clever wordsmith me. And there is 1 tank left. It is the Panther M10. We got the premium rounds in to guarantee that we pen him. We managed to shut down that Panther M10. And just think how we could have had a Radley Walters there if the gun, the RNG had been good. But we get the Devastator medal, sorry. 7 kills, 2.8k damage, 396 assistance, ace tanker, Devastator high caliber, top gun, 2,155 basic XP. A really nice game for the Thunderbolt 7. And yes, I'm a master wordsmith, and I'm really funny getting a Devastator and calling this tank devastating. Me. Well. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.